accordingly, in a way that is appropriate to the particular circumstances, as a result. Consequently. Thus. Therefore. As a result. How do you make important life decisions? I believe it's essential to evaluate all aspects of a situation and respond accordingly. For instance, when I considered switching careers, I weighed my interests, skills, and financial needs. Consequently, I enrolled in a course to upskill. Thus, I was better prepared for the transition. Therefore, when the opportunity came, I accepted the offer. As a result, my life changed for the better. Indeed. Used to emphasize a statement or response. Truly. Certainly. Undoubtedly. Surely. Do you think it's important to follow your passion in life? Indeed, following one's passion is crucial for long-term satisfaction. Many people struggle with routine jobs that don't inspire them. Truly, when you do what you love, work doesn't feel burdensome. Certainly, it takes courage to take that path. Undoubtedly, the rewards, both emotional and professional, are significant. Surely, one's passion drives both progress and happiness. Rather than used to show preference of one thing over another. Instead of. In place of. As opposed to. In preference to. Do you prefer living in the city or the countryside? Personally, I enjoy living in the countryside rather than the city. Instead of noise and congestion, I get tranquility and fresh air. In place of constant traffic, I have quiet roads and open space. As opposed to a fast-paced lifestyle, life here is slower and more reflective. In preference to urban chaos, the countryside offers mental clarity and peace. Notably. Used to highlight something important or remarkable. Especially. Significantly. Remarkably. Strikingly. What are the advantages of country life over city life? There are several advantages to rural living, and one of the most notably positive aspects is the sense of community. Especially during times of hardship, neighbors come together. Significantly, health benefits like cleaner air improve well-being. Remarkably, people tend to have longer lifespans. Strikingly, stress levels are far lower compared to city dwellers. In contrast. Used to show clear differences between two ideas. On the other hand. Conversely. Differently. In opposition. How is city life different from rural life? In contrast to the peaceful countryside, city life is often hectic and crowded. On the other hand, it offers job opportunities and entertainment. Conversely, the countryside might lack public services. Differently, the rhythm of city life is non-stop. In opposition, rural areas embody a slower, more traditional way of living. Meanwhile. Used to indicate something happening at the same time. At the same time. Simultaneously. While. Concurrently. What do people usually do in the city during weekends? Many people relax or go out during weekends in the city. Some head to cafes or meet friends, meanwhile, others prefer shopping or visiting exhibitions. At the same time, families might explore parks. Simultaneously, events like street festivals draw crowds. While the pace is leisurely, city dwellers are often active. Concurrently, cultural venues stay busy. Eventually. At a later time, after a series of events or delays. Ultimately. In the end. At last. After all. Do you think more people will move to the countryside in the future? Yes, I believe so. With rising urban stress and environmental concerns, people will eventually seek quieter lives. Ultimately, many may prioritize mental health. In the end, peace and space will become more valuable. At last, the countryside may become more popular for families. After all, happiness often comes from simplicity. Otherwise. If not, in different circumstances. Or else. If not. Alternatively, in a different case, why is it important to maintain a balance between work and personal life? Maintaining a healthy balance between work and personal life is essential. Otherwise, stress and burnout can take over. Or else, we risk damaging relationships and health. If not, job satisfaction drops and productivity may decline. Alternatively, individuals might find fulfillment in hobbies and social life. In a different case, ignoring personal time can cause long-term dissatisfaction. Comparatively. In comparison with something else. Relatively. By comparison. In relation. In contrast to. Do people in cities work longer hours than those in the countryside? Yes, urban workers often spend more time in offices. Comparatively, rural residents may enjoy more flexible schedules. Relatively, country life allows greater downtime. By comparison, city professionals are more bound by routine. In relation to rural lifestyles, urban life is fast-paced. In contrast to quiet rural settings, cities demand constant productivity. Therefore, for that reason, as a result, thus, consequently, hence, as a result, what can people do to avoid work-related stress? People should set boundaries between work and leisure. Therefore, they can recharge effectively. Thus, they'll be more focused during working hours. Consequently, this boosts overall mental health. Hence, companies should encourage breaks and holidays. As a result, staff become more engaged and productive. Contrarily, in opposition or contrast. Conversely, on the contrary, differently, oppositely. Is working overtime always harmful? It depends. Some people thrive in high-pressure environments. Contrarily, others may feel overwhelmed. Conversely, overtime can lead to promotions and personal growth. On the contrary, excessive hours might result in burnout. Differently, freelance workers often choose flexible hours. Oppositely, rigid schedules and corporate roles can stifle creativity. Equally, to the same degree or level. Similarly. Likewise. Just as. Correspondingly. Should both employers and employees take responsibility for work-life balance? Equally, both sides play a crucial role. Similarly, employers must foster a healthy culture. Likewise, employees should manage their time wisely. Just as managers lead by example, staff need to follow through. Correspondingly, when both parties cooperate, a productive and happy environment is formed. Furthermore, used to add more information that supports a point. Moreover, in addition, what's more, as well, how has technology influenced daily communication? Technology has revolutionized communication. Furthermore, it's made interactions quicker and more accessible. Moreover, apps now support real-time translation. In addition, we can connect globally without barriers. What's more, businesses benefit from efficient collaboration tools. As well, these advances have changed social dynamics across age groups. Henceforth, from now on or from a particular time onward. From now on. Going forward. In future. Subsequently. How do you think communication will change in the future? I believe communication will become more immersive. Henceforth, devices may rely more on AI and virtual reality. From now on, people might interact using avatars or holograms. Going forward, written messages may decline in favor of voice or gestures. In future, translation may become instant across all platforms. Subsequently, the human element might evolve alongside machines. However, introduces a contrast or exception. Nevertheless. But. Yet. Though. Are there any drawbacks to our dependence on technology? However, over-reliance on technology can lead to reduced face-to-face interaction. Nevertheless, its benefits are undeniable. But, digital fatigue is rising among younger users. Yet, many overlook how screen time affects mental health. Though we embrace innovation, it's important to maintain personal connections offline. In fact, used to emphasize the truth of a statement or add details. Actually. Indeed. Truly. As a matter of fact. Do people realize how much they rely on their devices? In fact, most people underestimate their digital dependence. Actually, phones often act as a second brain. Indeed, some individuals check their devices hundreds of times daily. Truly, this behavior is embedded in routine habits. As a matter of fact, studies show rising anxiety when people are separated from their gadgets. Incidentally, used to introduce a related but less important point. By the way, coincidentally. Speaking of. Interestingly. What's an unexpected benefit of using technology for communication? There's a surprising side to it. Incidentally, video calls help families stay emotionally connected across continents. By the way, many elderly users now feel less isolated thanks to virtual platforms. Coincidentally, tech has bridged cultural gaps as well. Speaking of connection, emojis add emotional nuance. Interestingly, even introverts now express themselves more comfortably. Regardless. Without being affected by present circumstances. Despite that. Even so. Though. Notwithstanding. What challenges do people face when trying to stay healthy? Regardless of how busy life gets, it's important to prioritize health. Despite that, many people skip meals or workouts. Even so, simple habits like walking or mindful eating can help. Though motivation fluctuates, consistency matters. Notwithstanding these hurdles, a healthy routine is achievable with effort. Just as used to express similarity between two ideas. In the same way. Likewise. Similarly. Equally. How can people stay motivated to exercise regularly? Just as we plan meetings, we should also schedule workouts. In the same way, structure makes it easier to stick to routines. Likewise, tracking progress builds motivation. Similarly, exercising with friends can enhance accountability. Equally, celebrating small wins keeps people engaged in the long run. Additionally, used to introduce extra information. Also. As well. In addition. Plus. What are the benefits of regular exercise? Regular exercise improves cardiovascular health. Additionally, it boosts mental well-being. Also, it enhances sleep quality and energy levels. As well, it reduces the risk of chronic illnesses. In addition, it supports emotional balance. Plus, it helps maintain a healthy weight. Moreover, used to reinforce and emphasize the previous point. Furthermore. What's more. As well. In the same vein. Why do some people prefer home workouts over going to the gym? Home workouts are flexible and save time. Moreover, they are cost-effective. Furthermore, people feel more comfortable exercising in private. What's more, online videos offer structured guidance. As well, there's no need to commute. In the same vein, it reduces exposure to crowded spaces, especially during flu season. Namely, used to specify or clarify something mentioned. That is, specifically. To be exact. More precisely. What type of exercise is best for maintaining overall fitness? A combination is ideal, namely, cardio, strength, and flexibility training. That is, jogging improves heart health, lifting builds muscle, and yoga enhances mobility. Specifically, experts recommend at least 150 minutes of cardio weekly. To be exact, that translates to 30 minutes over 5 days. More precisely, routines should be tailored to age, goals, and health status. On the other hand, expresses contrast between two different ideas. Conversely. Alternatively. In contrast. Differently. Is it better to follow passion or choose a stable profession? Following one's passion is deeply fulfilling. On the other hand, some believe financial security should be prioritized. Conversely, passion-driven work may lead to unpredictable earnings. Alternatively, combining both passion and practicality is ideal. In contrast, choosing only based on salary often leads to dissatisfaction. Differently, everyone's motivations vary based on their values. Besides, used to add extra information or another point. In addition. Also. Moreover. As well. What are the benefits of doing internships before choosing a career? Internships help build real-world experience. Besides, they allow students to understand workplace culture. In addition, young people discover strengths they weren't aware of. Also, networking becomes easier in professional settings. Moreover, early exposure guides future decisions. As well, it boosts confidence before entering full-time roles. Conversely, shows contrast or an opposite idea. However, on the other hand, contrarily, yet, is it necessary to have a university degree for career success? Many successful individuals do have degrees. Conversely, others thrive through hands-on experience. However, the job market often values skills more than certificates. On the other hand, degrees may open doors in traditional fields. Contrarily, entrepreneurial paths reward creativity. Yet, success stories exist on both sides of the spectrum. Uniquely. In a distinctive or one-of-a-kind way. Distinctively. Singularly. Exceptionally. Specially. What makes a person stand out during job interviews? A candidate who expresses themselves uniquely often leaves a strong impression. Distinctively, presenting creative solutions to problems shows value. Singularly, having rare skills makes one desirable. Exceptionally, storytelling helps interviewers remember them. Specially, demonstrating emotional intelligence sets people apart. Further, indicates additional information or continuation. Moreover. Additionally. What's more. In continuation. What should students do to prepare for future careers? Students must research evolving industries. Further, they should build transferable skills. Moreover, staying updated with technology matters. Additionally, networking with professionals helps. What's more, volunteering adds to practical knowledge. In continuation, creating a personal brand early helps long-term success. Consequently, shows a result or effect following an action. As a result. Therefore. Thus. Hence. What happens when someone chooses a career purely for status or money? If someone chooses a job only for prestige, consequently, they may feel emotionally detached. As a result, stress can build over time. Therefore, job satisfaction often decreases. Thus, performance may suffer. Hence, a balanced approach considering personal interest is wiser. Still. Describe something continuing despite obstacles. Yet. Even so. All the same. Nonetheless. Have you ever faced difficulty while studying? Yes, I had to prepare for final exams during a family emergency. It was difficult to concentrate, but I still pushed myself to study. Yet, my mind was elsewhere most of the time. Even so, I tried to stay consistent. All the same, my performance surprised me. Nonetheless, I realized how much resilience matters. Nevertheless. Shows contrast despite a previous point. However. Even though. Notwithstanding. Though. Is it easy to stay motivated during long academic programs? Academic programs can be mentally exhausting. Nevertheless, the passion for learning keeps me going. However, occasional burnout is real. Even though the content gets complex, I feel excited by new topics. Notwithstanding these challenges, support from peers is crucial. Though it's tough, the reward at the end is worth it. Subsequently. Describe something happening later or after something else. Later on. Afterwards. In time. Next. What did you do after failing an important test? I was disappointed at first. Subsequently, I met with my tutor to identify my weaknesses. Later on, I started using new revision strategies. Afterwards, I joined a study group for extra motivation. In time, my confidence returned. Next, I took the exam again and passed with a strong score. Thereafter. Refers to a time following a previous event. After that. From then on. Since then. Following that. How did you build better study habits? I realized my old habits weren't working. I created a daily routine and stuck to it. Thereafter, I felt more productive. After that, distractions no longer affected me as much. From then on, my grades improved consistently. Since then, I've always planned my study time. Following that, other areas of life became more organized too. Thus. Indicates a result or conclusion. Therefore. Consequently. Hence. So. What advice would you give someone struggling in school? First, identify the root cause of your struggle. Thus, you can build a targeted plan to overcome it. Therefore, don't hesitate to ask for help. Consequently, you'll feel more in control. Hence, confidence grows. So, progress naturally follows. Again. Used to emphasize repetition or reaffirm a point. Once more. Repeatedly. A second time. Yet again. What do you do when you fail to understand something? When something doesn't make sense, I go back to it again and break it down. Once more, I read through the material slowly. Repeatedly, I ask myself questions. If necessary, I study it a second time with external resources. Yet again, I found that persistence usually leads to clarity. As a result. A consequence or outcome of something. Therefore. Consequently. Hence. Thus. What happens when someone adopts healthy daily routines? When someone builds strong daily routines, productivity naturally improves. As a result, time is used more efficiently. Therefore, stress levels decline. Consequently, their mood and relationships often improve. Hence, consistency becomes their superpower. Thus, good habits shape both professional and personal growth. Finally, refers to the last step in a sequence or a conclusion. Ultimately. At last. In the end. Eventually. What's your approach to achieving long-term goals? I start by breaking down the goal into smaller steps. Then I stay focused and celebrate each win. Finally, when everything aligns, the result feels incredibly rewarding. Ultimately, the journey teaches resilience. At last, reaching the goal becomes a meaningful moment. In the end, persistence pays off. Eventually, success becomes second nature. Hence, indicates a reason or logical conclusion. Accordingly. Thus. Therefore. As a result. Why is discipline important for self-improvement? Discipline builds consistency in actions. Hence, results become predictable and positive. Accordingly, individuals feel more in control of their path. Thus, success isn't accidental. Therefore, discipline becomes a gateway to transformation. As a result, personal growth becomes sustainable. In addition, used to introduce extra information. Also. Furthermore. Moreover. Besides. What else, apart from habits, helps people grow? Habits are just one part of growth. In addition, having a positive mindset matters. Also, building strong social connections helps. Furthermore, regular reflection keeps goals aligned. Moreover, practicing gratitude improves perspective. Besides, reading and learning continuously expand one's horizons. Instead, indicates an alternative or a choice made over something else. Rather, alternatively, in place of, as opposed to. How can people manage their time better? Many people spend hours on social media. Instead, they could use that time to read or exercise. Rather than multitasking, focusing on one thing is more effective. Alternatively, using planners can organize the day better. In place of distractions, deep work can be prioritized. As opposed to wasting time, productivity brings satisfaction. Likewise, expresses similarity or agreement. Similarly. In the same way. Just as. Equally. Why is it helpful to surround yourself with motivated people? Motivation is contagious. When others strive for growth, it inspires action. Likewise, their discipline rubs off on you. Similarly, being in a goal-driven environment pushes you forward. In the same way, mutual support amplifies success. Just as birds fly in formation, teamwork multiplies momentum. Equally, good company fuels good habits. Anyway. Used to return to a previous topic or move forward despite obstacles. In any case. Regardless. Still. At any rate. What do you do when your efforts don't lead to success? I try to reflect and learn from the experience. Anyway, failure is part of growth. In any case, giving up doesn't help. Regardless, I keep pushing forward. Still, I allow myself time to feel disappointed. At any rate, I make sure that the setback doesn't define my journey. Certainly. Used to express strong agreement or confidence. Definitely. Surely. Clearly. Unquestionably. Is it important to stay positive after failure? Certainly, maintaining a positive attitude helps you bounce back stronger. Definitely, it shapes your mindset. Surely, success comes from resilience. Clearly, negativity only slows progress. Unquestionably, optimism fuels the drive to improve and try again. Yet. Used to introduce a contrasting or unexpected point. However. Even so. Still. Nevertheless. Can failure ever be a good thing? Yes, absolutely. Failure can teach powerful lessons. Yet, many people avoid it out of fear. However, it often reveals what really matters. Even so, the process can be painful. Still, reflection helps you evolve. Nevertheless, I believe it's a stepping stone toward success. Nonetheless. Shows contrast in spite of previous ideas. However. Even though. Albeit. Despite that. Why do some people keep trying even after repeated failures? Passion and belief play key roles. Nonetheless, it's not always easy to stay motivated. However, the vision they hold keeps them focused. Even though setbacks happen, their commitment is unwavering. Albeit slow, progress is made. Despite that, persistence eventually opens new opportunities. In comparison. Used to show similarity or contrast between two things. Compared to. In contrast. Relative to. Versus. How do people change after facing major life challenges? People grow significantly after adversity. In comparison to before, they often become more resilient. Compared to those who haven't faced obstacles, they tend to value progress more. In contrast, comfort can limit growth. Relative to their past mindset, they become more reflective. Versus reacting emotionally, they learn to respond with maturity and patience. Undoubtedly. Used to express complete certainty. Definitely. Certainly. Clearly. Unquestionably. Do difficult experiences make someone stronger in life? Undoubtedly, challenges shape character. Definitely, they reveal hidden strengths. Certainly, failure teaches valuable lessons. Clearly, resilience grows from setbacks. Unquestionably, each hurdle contributes to emotional depth and wisdom. Then. Refers to the next action or point in time. After that. Following that. Subsequently. Later. What steps do people usually take to recover from failure? First, they accept the outcome. Then, they analyze what went wrong. After that, they set new goals. Following that, they might adjust their habits. Subsequently, confidence starts rebuilding. Later, they begin to make progress again. Next. Indicates the following item or stage. Afterward. Thereafter. Moving on. Following. How can people apply lessons learned from failure? Reflection comes first. Next, action is key, implementing changes based on past mistakes. Afterward, consistency strengthens results. Thereafter, people build confidence through practice. Moving on, they find new motivation. Following a setback, applying insights is what leads to success. Similarly, shows likeness between two ideas or situations. Likewise. In the same way. Just like. Equally. Do past experiences help in handling future challenges? Similarly to how athletes train for performance, life prepares us through experience. Likewise, past failures teach problem solving. In the same way, difficult relationships enhance communication. Just like storms strengthen trees, tough times build strength. Equally, learning from both wins and losses leads to personal growth.